Hello, people of the tube, and welcome to episode 2 of Judge Nerdy. Judge Nerdy is a show where the episode's contestants are given a week to prepare their answers to 2 hypothetical questions related to movies, video games, or shows. The third question is a secret that only I know.
I know the third question.
Does anybody know who that is?
I'm Joe.
How'd you get on here, Joe?
I pushed a button. I don't know.
Okay, then. Do you like Marvel, Joe?
Do I like Marvel?
Question 1. Both of you will have 2 minutes to give your answers and explain why you chose them. After which, you will both have a minute to defend your ideas or admit defeat. And again, I will judge because I'm a nerd.
America never surrenders.
Joe, if you could do me a solid and go ahead and mute yourself, that'd be great.
You can't mute the U.S.
Question 1.
It's so hot.
Indiana Jones 5 is coming, directed by James Mangold, the same director who made Logan and helped retire the Wolverine from the X-Men series, so Hugh Jackman could sing and dance and do whatever else he does. What aging film star will James Mangold help retire from their tired old character next after Indiana Jones? Describe the plot and give the film a title. Josh, you will give your answer first. Good luck.
So, Logan is a perfect movie. It gives us a conclusion that is simultaneously heartbreaking and also hopeful, while perfectly getting to the core of what made a beloved character so beloved. So, we could only be so lucky to get a conclusion that strong in any franchise we enjoy. And I think after the sure to be hopefully excellent closing of Indiana's story, I think the next great adaptation would be the story many of us grew up enamored with, Harry Potter. The film, simply titled Potter, would find Harry in his late 40s, nearing an early retirement as the head Auror of the Ministry of Magic. His time in office was one of improvement, reform, but as of lately, a little bit dull. And as of late, seems the short memory of the public has turned certain minds back to the sympathy that they used to share with Voldemort's goal of wizarding superiority. And Harry is tired. Years of hard work and much abuse in the line of duty have bestowed upon him many ailments that make him feel much older than his age. And having seen his children grow into fine young adults, he's hoping for peace or something that just feels missing from his life. However, he has never quite gotten what he wanted and is now in the midst of his final term, and a string of grisly murders have come through London, and he must go for one last ride to get to the bottom of this horror. He will deal with his fading reputation and legend, his fading skills as his body fails him, and his old relationships that have grown both better and worse through years of neglect, unfortunate circumstances, or just plain time. The tone will try to match that of Birdman in the feeling of fading glory, as well as Seven in the brutality and tense nature of the subject matter. In the end, Harry will find his peace with his life and find that he really has missed this greatly, and going out doing the one thing he really enjoyed most throughout his life, being the greatest wizard that has ever lived.
Okay, we start in a shop. It has a lot of things on the wall. We're not quite sure what this is. Looks like maybe a junk shop, maybe a repair shop of some form. As the opening company titles are coming on, we cut to a man holding a pistol of somebody. Not a regular pistol. This is some form of like super space weapon, we can assume. Because you got to fix it, man. I don't even know what this is. I don't even know what you just gave me. Look, man, my dad was a freaking planet. If I can do so much, I could kill you right now. You're gonna fix this for me. I don't even know what this is. What's even wrong with it? Press play, man. How do you press play? It's right here. It's right here. Press play. We hear it coming out very slowly, very garbly. Ooga chaka, ooga, ooga. I can't fight this feeling. As we go to that, we see that this is Star-Lord. He is old. He is half a planet, yes, but he is also half a human, which means that death is inevitable. It's coming to that time. There's been the great galaxy wars. He has departed with most of the actual Guardians of the Galaxy. That's no longer a thing. He's jaded to the world. He's no longer the person he was. He doesn't believe in himself. He doesn't believe in any of that. He is, just old and tired. He's ready to be done until he meets a young version of Groot, or an offspring of, or a version of, etc. And together he learns how to care again by saving this baby Groot, journeying with him, learning how to live and be good. He dies at the end knowing that he has accomplished something, while baby Groot picks up the Walkman, holds it close, puts on the headphones, and looks at the camera just as Mr. Blue Sky starts and the directed by James Mangold jumps on. It's every trope we've ever seen him do. It's Mandalorian, it's Logan, it's Samurai and Baby, it's all that stuff, just as all the tropes combined into what we love to see, which is heroes get old and die, but have hope at the end. And that is exactly what the movie Star-Lord would be. The end of his time.
All right. Thank you for that, Chad. I don't know who Star-Lord is, but I assume other people do. Rebuttals. Josh, you get to do yours first. You have 1 minute.
Thank you. So Star-Lord, that's an okay film. That's an all right film. A little bit of a shame to take James Gunn's baby away from him and give it to James Mangold to finish. Also, that kind of feels like the plot of Logan all the way through and through. And I feel like we've seen that movie. We need something fresh, something new, and, something a little more, I don't know, original. That's my time.
All right. That was quick. All right, Chad, what do you say to that?
I say, yeah, we need something more original, like another Harry Potter movie, of course. We just got Harry Potter and the Cursed Child, which literally shows him in his early 40s and how his life is going at that point. We know what he is. So maybe like in 7 years, his kids are done. But, not Voldemort's kid directly, but Malfoy's kid is his best friend. We see offspring of Voldemort in that. We've kind of reached a pinnacle with that. Harry Potter can't necessarily come back in, and now we've switched it to his kid being the hero. So if we want to, we can have him go on an adventure with his kid or something. Sure, that's fine. But I also fail to see how a fading reputation and a man finding their powers back is literally any different or more original than what I just said. So mine also sells more tickets because, first off, a baby Groot traveling with an old Star-Lord, that just sounds like a movie I'd want to see. An old Harry Potter may be, but let's see Harry Potter and the Cursed Child first. We already got an old Harry Potter on Broadway. I don't need one in theaters necessarily.
All right, we got both their answers. We've heard them fight it out. The judges are over there bickering. I haven't heard an answer out of them yet. I'm just sitting here. I have a personal favorite. I saw one of the Harry Potters, the show with the little kids and the magic. It was pretty good. I have no idea what Star-Lord is or what it's a part of, but I know where I'm leaning. It says that both are very good ideas and they would both draw their own audience. Harry Potter could be more like Star Wars to this generation, where you only get some every couple years, and There's an entire lore and universe that doesn't change that much between the episodes. So, with that, their answer is that Josh wins this one.
That's wrong. You're wrong. I quit.
We didn't hire you.
I quit.
Joe, you're just here. Don't leave, Joe.
I
Don't
don't
leave,
know how to
Joe.
leave. I'm stuck. I can't get out.
For some reason, I don't want you to leave now. It's like my future depends on it.
I do like looking at you.
Question 2. Wilson the Volleyball from Castaway with Tom Hanks is given his own spin-off show in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. What is the show called? What is the first season arc? And what are some Marvel characters it features? Chad, you will go first. Good luck.
The MCU has recently been using some shows as a way to kind of step outside its traditional barriers and try out different styles, bring in new blood. Wilson's show will follow the same format, starting out as an original series while slowly bringing in members of the MCU and introducing new ones. Show immediately picks up at the end of Castaway with Wilson floating away while Tom Hanks jumps in the water to save him, failing to do so and having to make the decision between Wilson and the raft. We then cut to Wilson's POV where Tom Hanks is floating away. Wilson continues to float and we cut to night. We see he continues to float until suddenly it appears he is floating. No, he has been picked up by a net in a big fishing boat. He rises up into the boat and then falls onto the deck, rolling along the boat until he bumps into a foot. We are all seeing things from Wilson's angle, tight shot on Wilson. We can tell this foot is fancy by the shoes, and we can see others nearby. The camera is following the balls. Another pair of shoes come close to pick it up. We see this person's face looking like a regular seafarer. The hell is this? Where would that come from? What's with the handprint? Thing looks like it's been through a lot, and let's toss it. We then hear a voice say, no, no, no. We pan over and see a cigar smoking man in a suit. He's taking off sunglasses and takes the volleyball. This is Obadiah Stane, the ironmonger. We see him behind crates marked Stark. We see behind him crates marked Stark Industries. We can assume these must be weapons of some kind that they're on their way to deal with. Mr. Stark always expects some souvenir from whenever I go on vacation. This is exactly the kind of shit he'd like to see. Pack it up, boys. We cut to the title screen. Wilson. For the rest of the episode, we see time passing through Wilson's POV. Wilson, unbeknownst to us at the time, was Iron Man's good luck charm, always in an office wherever he was. He didn't travel with him or anything, but he was always like there. This gives the MCU lots of time to do what it does best. Repeat what worked well before, show us entire scenes we've already seen, retract anything that they thought could be in there, add some emotions and areas they thought, give us a little bit of behind the scenes on how things went. Eventually, we get cut up to the modern MCU. Tony Stark is dead. The beach ball is eventually being grabbed in the office and put into a box, probably by some B character that didn't need to make an appearance at all, the Jon Favreau of the show. We then see on the front door of a house, doorbell's rung and a woman answers. Hello? Affections from Mr. Stark. Mr. Stark? Good afternoon. Leaves. We hear a door close. This is also from the POV of him. The box is opened. It's a woman looking at it, picking it up. What the? To Chuck? Read? We then hear two people communicating. And as they get closer, the lady just says, it's a package from Mr. Stark. I don't know any. The ball rolls out. We see a body appear wearing a blue bodysuit. His hair is gray on the sides. This is not just Tom Hanks / Chuck Nolan. This is Mr. Fantastic. We hear him shout, Wilson, as his arms enthusiastically reach across the room to grab him. His hands take hold, we cut to black, end of first episode. The rest of the show is Wilson introducing us to the Fantastic Four and how that goes in the other MCU from Wilson's point of view. That's it.
So are you saying Tom Hanks is playing, is it Mr. Fantastic, Captain Fantastic?
Yeah, so he's been Chuck his whole life, basically. So, but then he comes back and like nobody knows Chuck anymore. Chuck's dead. So eventually he decides to change his name to Reed. And we find out through time and through all this stuff that he was exposed to things on the island that over time gave him the power to have this elasticity. And that's
You're destroying the first family of Marvel.
Well, I didn't get any of that, but I like Tom Hanks a lot. Hey, Josh, your turn.
Thank you very much, Judge. All right. So you can think of Wilson as just a volleyball and watch Castaway just fine. But if he is getting a Marvel spinoff, then I think we must address that he is much more than a volleyball. He is an interdimensional being of mischief who prances through the multiverse on an epic quest, which sees him encounter the downtrodden and the hopeless, whom he finds it very difficult to turn away from without offering some little bit of help. This is the perfect opportunity to make Wilson's show not a new series, but a continuation of one audiences have already invested their time into. During the course of this show, we would eventually find Wilson to be none other than the self-proclaimed god of mischief, Loki. His powers to transform allows him to blend into any environment he chooses, and having just assisted in the breakdown of all reality in his first season outing, and now having been pursued by the dangers that even he cannot comprehend, he is careful not to rock the survival raft of whichever deserted island his bootleg TVA portal takes him to. That would be just a one-off scene to set up Loki's new favorite disguise as a personified volleyball. As he is pursued by the forces of Kang the Conqueror, this season takes Loki through events and movies from the past, mostly MCU, but some not, hence Castaway being on the list. And while he searches for an ever-shifting point in time that would allow him to ride a portal back to a point in time just before the death of He Who Remains in the first season and stop all of this chaos from unraveling. We would also get a return from Owen Wilson's agent Morbius, who has his own struggles in solving the breakup of reality in multiple universes. And we will also see the return of Sylvie, who is just found resting in the far corners of reality, trying to make the most of being free at last, while also being haunted by her actions that have set everything into motion. Ultimately, at the end of the season, using his disguise as Wilson occasionally just for funny gags, but not really being a main point of anything. And after conferring with the great powers of the universe, such as Doctor Strange, Scarlet Witch, the Watcher, and even Thanos at one point, we find Loki come to the conclusion that the multiverse cannot be restored. His goal is not achievable, and that there is nothing left to do but gather the universe's mightiest heroes for the battle for all existence.
Both the answers are in. Both featured Wilson. And now we move into rebuttal. Chad, what do you have to say?
You know what else could be Loki in that show? Literally anything. The pizza box from Home Alone. The remote control from Click. That thing in the background of literally any movie I like. Mine works, stays in the MCU while keeping the Castaway canon that actually Wilson, follows. Wilson was literally no one besides emotional support for Tom Hanks. Loki appeared as Wilson and just sat on his ass for 4 years on an island with this dude. That's a lot of bullshit you're trying to feed me. That is going to be a very odd selection. I could replace your idea with anything ever. Remember that thing in the room in the movie? Yeah, that was Loki. All right, no, that's not a real answer here. That mine uses the universe and rules that Castaway set up while still integrating it into the MCU. An episode entirely from the POV of a volleyball, traveling over time, seeing things in the MCU, but not really seeing things because he's still a volleyball, is a much better answer, a much more original idea. The concept of seeing an episode from that is much more clever. The concept of seeing him become Loki, that's much more Marvel, sure, but that doesn't make it original or good. You just fan serviced yourself to come up with another episode of season 2 and used a volleyball for what you already wanted to see in place of whatever your mind already wanted it to be. I don't think it's a solid answer. Mine is actually a show that integrates Wilson from Castaway and the MCU.
All right, now it's time for Josh's rebuttal. Go ahead.
Sorry, if we're talking about just taking any old thing from anywhere and just making it work, Reed Richards is Tom Hanks, and a former FedEx employee crashed on an island for 4 years. That is just untenable, I'm sorry, first of all. Second, Loki does not just choose to be the volleyball just for 4 years. He hops in, sees the volleyball, kicks it far away into an ocean, becomes it for maybe a couple days before helping Tom Hanks find his way off the island. And that's it. just because he's trapped here until he can get his device fixed. However, this is not making a strange volleyball a central part of a Marvel show, which people care about. This is continuing on a plot people are already invested in and making it, something worthwhile in watching, and not just confusing them. Why are we watching Castaway? Why is that even in the MCU? That's that.
All right, they're still arguing over there, but they basically said that they don't like that Fantastic Four gets a retconned, something like that, with Chad's idea, and they don't like Josh's idea because they think it sucks. So what they want to do is give Chad this question so they can get to question 3, and they're tied, and there's a bunch of drama. So let's move on.
Joe, if you had answered that, who would you have chose?
Well, speaking for America, like our ally Switzerland, I'd stay neutral.
Good.
Well, thank you, Joe, for that little help there. All right, last time when I was leaving set, I said some words to Craig, namely, I could do this show without you. So he and the other guy thought it would be funny to make me come up with the questions. Now, I'm going to need a quick sidebar with you, actually, Joe, before we go into question 3. If the 2 contestants could plug their ears and turn and look away.
Are you serious? Like, just get out?
Yeah.
Okay.
Plug your ears, turn and look away. Hey, Joe, I got a level with you here. I didn't write a 3rd question. I thought one would come to me in some beautiful eureka moment. Do you have something we could ask? Anything?
Yeah, I might.
Good. What's it about?
So what you should do is you should put them on the spot, like Patton Oswalt did in Parks and Recreation, where he did a filibuster.
That's fine, Joe. I'll have you ask it.
No, you're the host. You ask it.
All right, here, we'll skip ahead and we'll skip to the question, and then you'll have explained everything to me. We'll use the magic of television.
All right.
This is YouTube. Thank you, Joe, for supplying this to us. Years ago, on the hit TV show Parks and Recreation, comedian Patton Oswalt launched into an improvised filibuster to prevent a city council vote. In the filibuster, he pitched his idea for Disney's Star Wars Episode 7. In it, he suggested combining the Marvel and Star Wars cinematic universes by way of the reality gem held by Marvel villain Thanos. If you were tasked by our Disney overlords with writing Star Wars Episode 13 and combining the 2 cinematic universes, how would you do it if you absolutely had to on threat of death? What characters team up and who survives the movie? You're going to have a lot of time to come up with an answer to this. Good luck. Are you ready, Chad?
Hell yeah.
All right. You have 2 minutes.
Star Wars Episode 13, Galaxy's Edge. The movie starts with 2 suns rising. We know that this is Tatooine, not only the most known planet in Star Wars, but the one that just keeps getting recycled in everything that comes out. Except we start to zoom out and we see that this isn't Tatooine at all. This is Earth. Thor and Hulk are looking up at the sky. We hear Thor say, well, this isn't good. Bum, 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 ba-da-da-da-da. The title crawl appears. Star Wars Episode 13, Galaxy's Edge. We cut back to Tatooine. There is no sun. We see stars in the sky, but it is pitch black. A man appears with BB-8 at his side. BB makes a chirp. Yeah, I don't know what's going on here either. Suddenly, he hears some items clanking around and jumps behind a rock. We see the Guardians of the Galaxy are getting out of their ship. No, I did not land us in the wrong place. This isn't even Earth. Oh, yeah, well, wise guy. Well, then what is this? We slowly learn that through some kind of MCU-like explanation that makes sense if you watched all the bonus credit scenes of all 26 films that came before this. Evil, all-powerful Loki is back and had gathered all the materials needed to relocate every planet in the universe, officially goofing up the galaxy, the ultimate prank. This has made the MCU and Star Wars universes collide. Unfortunately, since the Star Wars that we are familiar with took place a long time ago, we know that none of our characters are still around except for the core droids, BB-8, D-O, C-3PO, R2-D2. Together, the droids and their now human counterparts pair up with some members of the MCU to bring a stop to evil, all-powerful Loki over the course of course, a trilogy, 3 films, the third of which ends with them all back on their respective planets, while C-3PO and R2-D2 pass on this story to the Guardians of the Whills, and we see it written down as we zoom out the way that episode 9 should have ended. The end. There's the collision. There it was.
All right. That was a lot of words. The people over here seem to be-
America approves.
America approves. And they're over there talking. Now we're going to move on to Josh. Josh, what's your genius, fabulous answer to this very complex question?
Well, thank you, Judge. So we know how marketing is done these days. And as a writer on this project, I would really insist that it is marketed as Avengers 5, this movie. This would be the next film in the Avengers series, and we have no hint of Star Wars in the marketing or trailers. The film would begin with the previously set up battle between Kang the Conqueror and the universe's mightiest heroes. They would be fighting across the planet Earth. Characters from all different realities are engaged in a massive battle where the enslavement of all universes under Kang's thumb is at stake. It seems our heroes are losing. A few Doctor Stranges have been killed in a heroic final stand. Ant-Man is about to be vaporized. Reed Richards stands atop the multiverse stabilizer as it takes far too long to charge. He and the Fantastic Four, as well as Spider-Man, Kate Bishop, Yelena Belova, Bruce Banner, and Nebula decide to make their final stand using captured Infinity Stones from the past. Reed has the idea to leap to an entirely different world and perhaps find the tools they need to save their own. They use the stones and are each set adrift throughout time and space. Spider-Man awakens in a back alley of a strange-looking civilization. A silhouetted creature approaches him, and just as it fades into view, we see it to be a Rhodian, and this is the planet Coruscant. He and us feel very concerned about what is happening and very confused. He flees off and swings to a higher ground and is shocked by what he sees. We later pick up with Reed Richards and Bruce Banner, who are fascinated by the technology of this world. They are guided to the Jedi Temple, where they find the new Jedi Order founded by Rey Skywalker and Jedi Knight Grogu Jaren. They witness the abilities of these people and hear the legends of the great Obi-Wan Kenobi, Ahsoka Tano, Luke Skywalker, and it seems to Mr. Fantastic that this is exactly where they need to be, but not when. We have them do Time Heist 2 and take the Time Stone and use it to go and gather our favorite Star Wars heroes from the past. They tread back through the legends of Star Wars, and we see scenes of Spider-Man fighting off clones in Order 66, Yelena and Kate Bishop mowing through stormtroopers, the Hulk smashing the Knights of Ren. We end with a final showdown against Kang. Obi-Wan fights him one-on-one, while the other Jedi and heroes take on his army of minions. The day is saved when Anakin Skywalker, Han Solo, and Ben Solo overload Kang's mothership and destroy the opposing force. The movie and assault on both franchises is now over.
Well, that sounded incredible.
Oh yeah, it did.
Is it Ewan McGregor Obi-Wan or Sir Alec Guinness Obi-Wan?
This is Ewan McGregor. They want fast swinging Obi-Wan.
That was impressive that you came up with that quickly, I think. What do you have to say to that, Chad?
I mean, you made the better fan fiction, no doubt. I mean, absolutely pristine stuff that people would whack off to on Reddit, 100%. Mine is a better movie overall that I think continues plots forward. However, in the world of like fan films and what would I like to see? Sure. Yeah. All these characters suddenly coming back somehow and being together to fight each other. Yeah. That's really cool. So it really depends on how you want the movie to go. Mine could carry on in the canon of both the worlds. Yours, I mean, could in some way. They'd explain it, I'm sure, but it would be a cheap, I guess, way to do it. But I mean, reliable. But I still feel like mine with the reversing of the galaxies and all that that works well for me. I'm more excited to see mine for real, but his I'm more excited to watch the highlights on YouTube from.
They were both pretty awesome.
All right, Josh. Sounds like Chad really liked your idea.
Thank you, Chad. And you know, for your movie's flaws, it could be good as well. You know, I feel like it would be a shame to combine these two worlds and only have them interact with the droids that we knew. I feel like we gotta have some element of characters we love that aren't just non-carbon based. I think, you know, it could be an interesting film. I think mostly people would be wondering why throughout that one. But, you know, I think at the end of the day, neither of these movies should exist. So hard to judge.
Well, they're telling me that that's a very acceptable answer. That it shouldn't exist. And neither of these should exist. They're abominations that should be set on fire. We shouldn't even release this episode or give Disney any ideas. But it's going to happen. It's going to happen. I don't know why I'm affected about this. I don't even know what you guys are talking about. All right, they say Josh wins. They say his idea involves a lot of Star Wars and a lot of Marvel. So there we have it. Josh won an episode. He's the winner. So with Josh winning this episode, he's one step closer. So was Chad with our first episode to getting this trophy. A giant question mark. That's a trophy.
Is that made out of vibranium?
Yes. Yes, Joe.
Sweet.
All right. Made out of vibranium. They're laughing at me. I don't know why. I want to thank Joe for being here with that question. He really saved me. You were like a flamethrower on my wrist in a sarlacc pit of my own creation. I blasted my way up through 70 feet of sand with you, turning it into pure glass and just sliding right up out of there.
That's what she said.
You know, I started watching Book of Boba Fett to fit in. With that, we're done. If anybody wants to say anything before we go, this concludes episode 2 of Judge Nerdy. Nobody?
How do I get out of here?
I'll close it, Joe. I'll kick you off, and we're gonna hope you're not still there in a couple weeks.